All right, actually, oops, this is for Algebra 2. This is from section 5B-1. All right, when you add these, you can't get rid of the fractions because there's no equation. Notice it's not set equal to something. So you're going to have to live with the fractions, unfortunately. Remember, you have to have a common denominator when you add and subtract fractions. So what you're going to want to do, if you see something that can be factored, factor it. And I can factor this one. Think about factors of -2 that add up to 1. Okay, so x times x gives me the x squared. It's going to be, what? Let's see. It's going to be 2 times, this should be a -1 right there. So it should look just like that. X minus 1 times x plus 2. Sorry, just got distracted. So all my denominators need to look like this. Now, look right here at this very first fraction. The first one has an x minus 1, but he wants to look like this. So what I'm going to do is multiply the top and the bottom by x plus 2. So it looks just like that. This one has an x plus 2, and he wants an x minus 1. He wants to look just like this guy. So we're going to give him an x minus 1. But again, what you do on the bottom, you got to do on the top. So notice I have 3 fractions. They all have the same denominator. They have an x plus 2. Notice that right there. And they have an x minus 1. So now I can write this as one big ugly fraction with this common denominator, like this. Okay? Now right here, you're going to need to distribute. So you've got what? 2x plus 4. Here, it's a positive 6. So you're going to get a 6x. So a positive 6x. And then 6 times a -1 is -6. This already has my common denominator, so I don't have to do anything with him, so he just stays to be a boring 3. Now, if you have any like terms, let's go ahead and add them together. Again, my denominator just stays just like it is. So let's see, I have a 2x plus 6x, that's what, an 8x. And then I have a 4 minus 6 is what, -2 plus 3 is 1. So that's your answer right there, okay? So let's try another one. That was number 1. Let's try number 2. Now, here's what I noticed about this one. I'm going to hurry. I wrote this one down from the book. And I don't know if you noticed this, but this is 1. When you have the same thing over the same thing, that's 1. So what you really have is x plus 2 over x minus 2 minus 1. And you know what? If you didn't notice that, then what you would have said is, hey, this guy has an x minus 2, then I'm going to have to give this guy an x minus 2. Like that. And this guy has an x plus 2, so then I would have had to give this guy an x plus 2. So you could have done it this way, it's just, it's harder, okay? But this is what I noticed, same thing, so it's 1. Now, my denominator is x minus 2, so I would have written it like this, x plus 2 over x minus 2. Notice that's still 1. I have the same thing over the same thing, so that's 1. And I have a common denominator. So I can write these 2 fractions as 1 fraction. Okay? So here's my x plus 2. Here's where you got to be really careful. You're subtracting everything up here. You're not only subtracting the x, let me write that down, but you're also subtracting this -2. So when you subtract a negative, it's going to become a positive 2. So be real careful right there. Notice my x's cancel. 2 plus 2 is 4. So I'm going to have 4 over x minus 2. Just like that. Okay? So again, when you're subtracting, be real careful because it's going to change all these signs. It was a positive x. Now notice it's a negative x. It was a -2. Now it's a positive 2. All right. I'm going to do one more on this one. Here's number 3. Okay. This has an a, this has an a plus 1. They need a common denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this guy an a plus 1 because he has it. And he's like, I want it too. So I'm going to give him an a plus 1. This fraction, like, well, he has a boring a. I want a boring a. So I'm like, okay, well, here you go. There's your boring a. But if I do it on the bottom, I got to do it on the top. Now that I have a common denominator, I can take the 2 and make them 1. And here's my denominator. It doesn't matter what order you write this in, by the way. Here, distribute. So I'm going to get what? 3a plus 3 plus 5a. Okay? Distribute that 3 in there. Make sure you see what you're doing. And that's going to give me what? 8a plus 3 all over a times a plus 1. All right, I'll do a couple more, but I'm going to do that on a different video.